Thank you for joining us on History FM Radio on liveparanormal.com and history.fm. From paranormal to the unexplained history, it all happens here. Looking to enhance your radio experience? Participate in live interactive chat 24/7 with our radio show hosts and other like-minded people on www.liveparanormal.com, the only interactive social chat room supported by full interactive media. Stop by now and join in on the fun.
The views expressed here within the programs and chats do not necessarily represent the views of LiveParanormal.com.
You're listening to Live Paranormal Radio at LiveParanormal.com.
Good evening and welcome to Shriekfest Radio. This is Denise Gossett. I am your hostess for the night. I am also the film festival founder and director. Shriekfest is a horror, thriller, sci-fi, fantasy film festival and screenplay competition. And we just celebrated our 16th year, sweet 16th year, and it was wonderful. It was October 6th through the 9th, and we had great parties, fabulous films, amazing people. I met so many amazing people. We have not open call yet. I keep getting emails about when that will happen. Believe it or not, I'm still wrapping up a few things from the festival. We'll probably open maybe late November, early December. I kind of try to, stop all these emails from coming in asking about call by just opening, and then I don't have to get all these emails and tell people, well, maybe a few more weeks. So we will probably be opening before November is out. So 16th year, very exciting, and we'll be going into our 17th, and I think we're going to call that one Sexy and 17, right? Like Stray Cats song. I think that will work for Shriekfest next year. Let's see, Shriekfest.com is our website. We're on Twitter at Shriekfest. We're on Facebook. Come give us a like. We'd love that. And Shriekfest Radio has been on the air for, goodness gracious, 3.5 years, more than 3.5 years, almost 4. We have not set 2017 dates yet, but it will probably be around the first or second week of October. So keep an eye out for those. Our call-in number tonight, if you have a question for myself or for my guest, is 347-202-0316. 347-202-0316. And if you're shy and you would rather not be on the air, you can always tweet to @Shriekfest or email at shriekfest.com, and I will periodically glance at those and make sure we get your questions answered. I'm very, very excited about tonight's guest. It's director Nick Spooner. He is a 2016 official selection. His short film, The Call of Charlie, was in the festival. It's a great little short, and I don't know if it's online anywhere yet, but we will find out here soon. So I would like to welcome Nick to Shriekfest Radio. Hi, Nick. How are you?
I'm awesome. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's nice to hear your voice.
And likewise, thank you so much for having me. This is a really nice bonus on top of having been in Shriekfest.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you're here. It's lovely to have you. I feel honored. So we're going to chat about all kinds of things. But first I want to find out, where were you born? Where'd you grow up? How'd you get into this industry?
Well, I'm from Boston and all around New England, and I got into the industry actually pretty young. I acted in local television commercials around New England. Yeah, you can see me as a fat kid number 3 in all the Stop and Shop commercials.
What do you mean, fat kid number 3?
It's a long, painful story.
Oh.
But And then, I was always into film and animation my whole life. Worked in Boston, took a year and a half off between high school and college to work in the industry, continued to study film in college, and, I've always been interested in making things. And I actually thought, from when I was very young, that I was going to be working for someone like, Tom Savini or, Rick Baker or somebody like that. My interests were in special effects makeup.
Oh, wow.
And, so once I actually started directing television commercials, it turns out horror is not a big winning strategy in commercials. Except for that one dark era Procter & Gamble ad. But I got away from it. So this was really, The Call of Charlie was my first opportunity to return to really my first love.
I love it. Well, I know you had mentioned briefly about commercials. You do a ton. I mean, that was why you couldn't even make it to Shriekfest, because you were working.
Yeah, regrettably, it's kind of, I've been sending other people that were involved in the making and the writing of the film in my stead, which has been great, and I've been pleased that we could do that. But yeah, I'm a working commercial director and have been luckily for a long time.
That's great. Now, okay, so for anyone out there who wants to get into commercial directing, do you have any advice?
Yes, you will fail. Go and prove me wrong.
Did someone tell you that?
Yeah, that's what I was told. I was told.
Really?
By it's quite painful, by someone who was close to me a long time ago in L.A. And I won't say who she was, but she said she worked at propaganda films, and when she asked me where she saw me in 10 years, I said I've been trained in film. I see myself directing. She said, "No, I don't see that happening." And so I left California. I left her. I came back east and, worked my way back into making it happen.
Wow. Okay, so now
that's my advice.
When people hear things like that, you're not going to make it, you have no chance, blah, 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 there's two choices you can take. And, you can take I believe them, or you can take the choice you did and fight back. So did you use it like fuel, like I'm going to show you?
Well, I didn't put this person's picture up on like my mirror every morning. I'm not that psychotic.
But did you use it kind of like, well, I'm going to prove her wrong?
Well, that person and a lot of other people, I mean, I always knew what I wanted to do. And if it's like anything, if you want to do it badly enough, you will figure out a way to do it. And, luckily now, I think there's just so many more opportunities and a lot more means in which you can actually become a director. When I was coming up, it was film. So that was a lot harder. You needed money, you needed experience, and it was a lot more difficult to actually pull together a film than it is today. Today, I mean, for God's sake, give me an iPhone and a Mac, and I'll make a movie, and I'll be able to show that movie. So it's just it's easier to realize your dream today, but because there are so many more, there's so many more directors out there, people making content, people making good stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff, but there's a lot more good stuff out there. I think it's good and it's bad. Lots of opportunity, but a lot more competition.
That is true. But I choose to focus on the lots more opportunity instead of the lots more competition, because I'm a firm believer that if a particular thing is meant for you, it's meant for you.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, okay, let's say you submit to a festival and you're competing with these films. If that festival, if that is the path that you are supposed to be on, that's the one that's going to come to you. And you may be surprised at which ones do and which ones don't, and the good that comes from the ones that did.
Definitely.
So
and you're a very positive person.
Yes, Yes, I am.
Yes.
Try to be anyway. It's difficult in this industry because I'm an actor as well, and we all know actors get rejected right and left all day long. So I think you get a thick skin from that. So I can empathize with you directors and you writers out there of what you go through, and
the thick skin is that's definitely the first thing you have to get. You have to get your coat of thick skin, because there's a lot of things that don't go your way, and you have to kind of work through all those periods, and it's not always fun. But the great thing is that talking about all the opportunities to be able to make things these days is that in of itself is awesome. When you go to these festivals, you see these other films, it's like, this is great. People are able to get their ideas out in front of other people, and that's really what it's all about. Think of all the people that, back in the days of film were like, I don't have enough money to get to get an answer print. I don't have enough money to do a good score, and it's just, it's much more attainable these days, which is really fantastic.
Yes, and and on the flip side, there's no excuses nowadays.
Right.
All these people, the excuses they used to use, it's like, no, take your phone. Like you said earlier, you can do whatever you want now. There's no excuses. So if you're out there and you've got a million excuses of why you're not making your film, we're not buying it anymore.
Right. And
Nick, we are not buying it.
No, you're absolutely right. And if you speak to anybody in the industry and you even hint for a second at the unfairness out there or how tough it is or how you couldn't do this or that, they will shoot you down immediately because for that very reason. Yeah. Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so you've done right, exactly, and nor should there be at this point because like you said, even 10 years ago it was way harder.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, by comparison, in the commercial business, I was just talking to somebody about this last week, is, when I started, it was much easier to get going as a director with a spec reel even, or just a couple, three commercials, and you were on your way. And I kid you not. And now a spec reel isn't going to cut it. You have to actually have made something, got it in front of eyeballs, got it on the air, got hits or whatever it is that makes it real. And that is much harder. I'm so happy I was born when I was born.
Right, exactly.
It would have been much harder for me today. Much harder for me.
Well, okay, so you live in Rhode Island. Do you find you've made this career directing commercials. This is like your daily thing practically. And you don't live in New York and you don't live in L.A. So come on, Nick, how did that happen? Because I know people are always like, I don't live in New York and I don't live in L.A., so I can't have this career.
Well, I don't anymore. And that's the key is I did live in Los Angeles after college for 3 years, and then I moved to New York, and I lived there for another decade. So I got going in those cities. And I'm frequently, I'm frequently there. My representation, my company are in those cities and global. I kept my New York cell phone number. So
there you go.
Yeah, but to tell you the honest truth, we are supposed to, this is supposed to be a time when it doesn't really matter where you live, and the whole virtual office has been, the virtual office has been talked about in the ad business. Chiat Day was talking about it in the mid-'90s. We don't have to be anywhere anymore. We can be anywhere we want. I can be in a dirigible over Akron and get work. But the truth is that a lot of agencies like to believe that their directors are in L.A. or New York.
Sure.
So, I let them think that, and when I show up for a job and tell them where I actually live now with my family, they're like, why don't I do that?
Right, exactly. Well, and I've noticed, especially like the first years of Shriekfest, the majority of the submissions came from New York or LA. Now they're from everywhere because you don't have to live in those two big cities anymore. And like you said, maybe you do need to come there for a bit, meet people, get things rolling. But honestly, I think you can do it from if you're willing to travel.
Yeah. And, I think it's important to at least get your start in those cities. And there's a lot more work in those cities, so it does make sense. If you're an actor, I would recommend you go to LA, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Austin, North Carolina, places where the film industry are active.
And do you see how many you just said? 10 years ago, it wouldn't have been all of those.
No, you're right. I mean, and for God's sake, last week I was in Toronto, frequently in Vancouver. The last year I've been in Chile, in Barcelona, in Shanghai, and Dubai. So yeah, it's everywhere. I mean, Star Wars was shooting in Dubai at the same time I was there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, very cool. And that's great, But it is important to be in one of those cities. The only reason I'm here now, able to be here, is because I worked very, very hard for a long time in those other places before I could kind of put lifestyle ahead of work.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, do you notice a difference between the creative that comes from directors that don't live in those cities, as far as your festival goes?
You mean like quality-wise?
Yeah. I mean, if you get something from somebody in Montana, do you know right away that they're not from LA or New York? Or
no. I mean, some yes.
Right.
Some you can see, a little bit greener, but no, it's remarkable.
Yeah. Because you can teach yourself these things on the internet. You can watch DVD extras. People can become very educated about film and not necessarily live in this. I mean, when Tarantino learned how to make films by working in a video rental store.
Right.
So
now, it is definitely an exciting time because of all the opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
And, as an actor, you had listed like 6 cities that you should start in or can go to for work. But it's even crazy now because there's Skype, there's self-taping. I mean, I cannot tell you how often I self-tape. It's insane.
Yeah, I believe it.
And that was not even going on 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, as a director, there's no substitute for being in the room with the people that you're going to be working with.
Exactly, right.
But it's certainly a good way to make an introduction. And why not?
This is why to slowly narrow down.
Yeah, the technology is here. Why don't we use it?
Right. So, okay, now let me ask you this. If you weren't working so heavily in commercials and you were just making your own films, doing your thing in Rhode Island, do you think you would have a tougher time? And
Definitely.
why?
I think it sort of works backward from where the industry believes. I think the industry is sort of set in its ways. People in LA, they want to take meetings, they want FaceTime, they want you in the room, they want to eyeball you. And, if I was going to get a long format project going, I would be in LA in the room meeting those people face to face because, I don't know, I just think there's sort of a provincial attitude that if you're not in one of those cities, you're not a real director.
Isn't that sad? It's so sad.
It is. It's driven by the people in the business.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I have a friend who he's done some really good work. He was directing and producing for American Horror Story for a while.
Oh.
And he did a movie called Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. And it was a big hit and set record numbers for getting picked up at Sundance last year.
Yeah.
And he made it very much outside of the system. And so it is absolutely possible. But you have to be really smart, very resourceful, and very tough, and believe in your project. So you don't have to be in those cities, but you do need to be pretty damn good in the business to know what you're doing to get it done.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you just talked about traveling, like all over the place, not just within the States, other countries. And I know you're married and you have 2 kids. How old are your kids?
12 and 6.
How hard is it for them every time you leave? Because I have an 8-year-old, and every time I leave, it's waterworks.
Well, look, as a commercial freelance director, there are layoff periods. I can be home sometimes for a month between jobs, sometimes more, depending upon how the economy is. So
sure.
I get to be home all the time. And like I told my son, I'm like, your friend Mateo, his dad, he gets up and goes to work before Mateo is awake. He comes home after Mateo is asleep. He works on the weekends. What would you rather have? I've been home for 4 weeks, and I've read to you every night. So they get it. They're cool with it. You just work it out, and it's kids adapt. It's a modern parenting sort of situation where we think, oh my God, we're screwing up our kids and our lives. But when we were kids, how often did you see your dad when you were a kid? This is a modern thing. And
I absolutely think
normal, Denise.
Right. You actually have more quality time with them than you would if you were 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not coming home completely exhausted every day and not wanting to read to them.
Yeah, exactly. And you work it out. You Skype. I bring their books with me on the road. I read to them at night. You figure out a way. It's fine.
Are they both boys?
No, I have a 6-year-old girl who is my favorite, and everyone knows it.
Okay, so your 12-year-old son, he doesn't mean it. He really does not mean it.
He'll be fine. And
is your wife in the industry too?
No. She's She is a very old-fashioned woman from Pennsylvania who is awesome. I met her in New York back when we were both sort of in the I was in a band in New York when I lived there, and she ran the bar where all the bands hung out downtown.
Oh, cool.
And and so she still works now. She works sort of in city government here in Providence, and no, I would never have married someone from our business. No way.
Nick, it's so funny because when I asked you, is she in the industry, you're like, oh, God, no. That's the exact answer I give every time someone asks if my husband's in the industry. I'm like, oh, God, no. You got to have one sane person in the marriage.
That's right. We're the artists, man. We need someone normal.
Exactly. You can't have 2 of us. God, all hell would break loose.
No way. She's very normal. She's a saint, and she puts up with all my crap.
Oh, well, that is great. Yeah. I'm so glad you have a supportive person there for you. It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, let's talk about The Call of Charlie. What a great short film.
Thank you.
How did you come up with the idea? Obviously, it's based on H.P. Lovecraft, but how did you come up with this particular story?
It's funny because, after 20 years, I couldn't have just done a short film about 2 people breaking up on a park bench.
Of course not.
I had to take a big meaty bite of obscure horror, cosmic horror. And, we live here in Providence. I've always been a fan of horror, always been aware of Lovecraft. And, it started off with Lovecraft's influence on Stephen King. So I'm in, 5th grade maybe, and I get Night Shift, and Jerusalem's Lot is in there, and I become aware that Jerusalem's Lot is actually kind of sort of taken from, pretty directly from The Call of Cthulhu. And then I start reading about Lovecraft, so I've always been aware of him, always been into horror. My first subscriptions were to Eerie and Creepy and Fangoria and Monsters, and, I've always been a horror nerd, and when I moved back here, we live in a 150-year-old rectory on College Hill in Providence. And I know for a fact that Lovecraft spent time in my house. Up and down Prospect Street and where we live, and become more and more interested. You go and hang out in Swan Point Cemetery, which is a Olmsted designed cemetery. It's really beautiful, and of course you seek out his grave. And so it was in sort of our daily, he's just sort of in the zeitgeist if you live in Providence. He's everywhere. I am Providence, as they say. And we're sitting down like a year and a half ago, and somebody at my new company had said, you have to do a short film. And so I sat down with two good friends who were really good writers, and at a kind of a skanky old, well, I shouldn't say that. It's sort of, it's sort of a really cool dive bar in Fox Point, Providence, a place where Lovecraft used to hang out. And it's called Captain Seaweeds, and we're getting into our cups, and I said, I got to write a short. My friend said, what do you want to write about? And just sort of spitballing, I go, I don't know, Cthulhu goes on a blind date. And we just started cracking up. And we sort of wrote the outline at the table and just kept cracking up. And the next day we woke up, and you know what? We thought it was still a good idea. And my friend wrote a first draft, and then we just worked it out together, and it just didn't stop until we stopped finishing making the movie,
That is great. And you got to get your all that special effects makeup and stuff. Like, who did all that? That was amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was the first thing I decided we were going to have to get done. I'm like, this is where if we're going to spend our money on anything, we have to get this right. And I really don't think there's been a modern-day iteration of sort of a human-sized Cthulhu. I don't think it's been done. I mean,
I haven't seen it.
Pirates of the Caribbean sort of did it.
Right, with the one, that one character.
Yeah, with Davy Jones, but he's more of the Kraken, which is, what is it? Is it Longfellow? I think it's Longfellow, the Kraken. Which is where the Cthulhu mythos came from that. And so I sought out, I asked a lot of guys, I know a lot of people in the business, and eventually I found these kids who had been trained in Hollywood but moved back to their hometown in Wisconsin, and I called them up. And this kid, Jeffrey Cox, turns out was a huge Cthulhu fan, and Nicholas Reinhardt was also with him. And these guys did amazing masks. And even better is they did kind of one-size-fits-all slip-on masks that had a bib that goes all the way down your sternum and all the way down your back. So you didn't have to do a sitting. So
oh, wow.
So I sent him my first sketch that I did for Charlie. And he loved it, and he did his own pass on it. He's a much better artist than I am. And we back and forth, and then he just got to work on it and made the arms, which are full sleeves up to the bicep. He just made this one-of-a-kind prototype for me. And I didn't have to do a sitting with any particular actor, which is great. So I had the mask in the hands before we even were ready to go with pre-production. So
oh, my God. Now, how did, the eyes blink? I mean, how?
that was, they're not animatronic. I always knew the whole time, if I can just add tiny little blinks, that tiny little detail will transform the mask.
Oh,
so
it did. It really did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you. I mean, I've had a lot of people actually ask me if it was animatronic.
So how did you do it?
Well, I had a really great CG artist.
You're kidding.
Actually, no. It's a CG effect. This guy's name is Alec Janev, and he was also assisted by a guy named David Jones there in Melbourne. And our editor, Christo Charas, turned me on to them. They did a test for one blink, and I was like, holy crap, That is amazing. Give me many blinks. And he did. And it took like 3.5 months, but that was what we really spent the most time on in post, was just adding those blinks.
It looks amazing because, I'm watching it and, like, I caught myself, like, just staring at him like, okay, it's, wow, it blinked and it just did it again. I mean, like, it was crazy. Like, this is so cool.
Yay, it worked. Well, that was the thing is, like, details can go such a long way. It's just like good sound effects, a good audio design, a tiny little detail can go a long way. And I always knew I don't want it just to be a mask. And if we can do these tiny little things, I think it'd be like night and day. And I think it really worked. I'm very happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, it did. And, okay, so your casting, how'd you get, like, Brooke Smith?
That's a good one. I went to high school with her brother.
Oh.
And the funny thing is their mom was an agent. I hope I'm not misspeaking. Her mom was a well-known, I believe she either was like a PR person or an agent for some very, very famous actors. And so Brooke lived in New York, but hung out a lot downtown at CBGB and, during the punk era and the hardcore era in New York. And she was always a fun kind of artsy girl. And I remember when my friend Luke Smith was graduating from high school, I was like, who's that girl with the pink mohawk? And it was Brooke. and then Brooke was in Silence of the Lambs. And so as we started to get into this whole Charlie thing, I thought of her and I asked her and she committed. And yeah, I couldn't believe she said yes, but she really liked the script. She's an incredibly cool person and a really great actress.
Yeah.
And she also got us Harry Sinclair, who is, in his own right, very famous in New Zealand, one of the first big comedy troupe that sort of led to open the door for Flight of the Conchords. Harry was also in Lord of the Rings, the first two Lord of the Rings movies. And then we got Evan Arnold through my casting agent, and Evan Arnold is he just had this incredibly sort of series-defining performance in the finale of Mad Men. And I knew Evan from auditioning in commercials in L.A., and when I saw his performance in the finale of Mad Men, I was like, gotta get Evan. And then my casting agent in L.A. At Jane Doe Casting. She pulled together the rest. She kind of filled in the gaps, and then we got Kristen, and the big one was we got Sven Holmberg, who was an old friend of mine back from the New York days, who played Charlie.
I met him. He actually came to the festival.
I'm so happy he came, and he saved our asses because, and this is the last. I know I'm going on, but
no, that's good.
I thought it would be really funny to have a super famous person play Charlie, and then never reveal him except for the credits. Right? So, and I actually sent poor Yasmin out to try to find a celebrity that would do this. And so we asked everybody from Jake Gyllenhaal to...
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah. We asked Ryan Reynolds. We asked...
and what were they like, no?
Most of them were like, no. Jim Carrey actually sent a nice note back, politely declining. We almost had... why am I blanking on his name? The kid who played Kelly in the Bad News Bears, who was also the modern-day Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Breaking away. The little kid. Haley.
Oh, yeah, Joel Osment?
Yes. Yeah, not Haley Joel Osment, but I'm blanking on his name. But so we asked a bunch of people, and then the big one was somebody said, you should ask Michael Richards, because nobody is hiring Michael Richards, and he's such a pariah. It would just be hilarious to have him wear the mask, and he's a very physical guy. So, now, Didn't work out.
Oh, you're thinking Jackie Earl Haley. That's it.
Jackie Earl Haley.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
He's
Sorry, Mr.
great.
Haley. He was interested, but we couldn't make it work out with him. And then finally, the biggest one was Brooke finally said, well, I'm friends with Marilyn Manson. And I'm like, what? And she goes, yeah, I bet you he'd do it. And he wears prosthetics all the time for like hours at a time on stage. And I'm like, holy shit, can you get me? Can you get me, Marilyn? And Marilyn Manson, I have the email with him saying to Brooke, I'm in, call me tomorrow. And oh my God, my head almost exploded. I woke my wife up in the middle of the night. I was like, this is amazing. And then he disappeared, which he's famous for. He flaked. And it's probably a good thing because I'll tell you something. Sven was a soldier. That mask is like a torture device. And I don't see any one of the people I thought it would have been funny to play Charlie. I don't see them doing it. I see them spending 2 hours in that thing and bailing. And so Sven is a rock star and a hero and a Viking, and he pulled it off. So I was super happy. He did a great job. He brought a lot of physicality to the role, and I am forever in Sven's debt.
That is so awesome. What cool stories.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. And, and this is the thing, this is the key to filmmakers is like, and I really learned this on the 2 days that we took to shoot this, is you have these ideas in your head, but you have to be willing to let them go. You have to be willing to pivot and make things work as they come up, because it will not go as you planned. It might go mostly as you planned, but there will be surprises. And we had 2 days to shoot this thing, 20 pages, 2 cameras, 120 setups, 7 actors.
Whoa!
Oh yeah, it was ambitious.
In 2 days.
Yeah, but this is what 20 years of experience gets you, is you can do that. And but you don't have the luxury, if something isn't working, you don't have the luxury of saying, hey, let's sit down for an hour and sort of workshop this and figure it out. Right? You got to figure it out immediately. You got to edit in your head. You have to figure it out how it's going to work. You got to MacGyver the gag when the blood is shooting the wrong direction. How do we make this work? Right? So you cannot panic. You cannot shut down. You cannot go, oh my God, and you cannot collapse when things go sideways. You gotta be able to deal with it. And another reason I waited a long time to do this, because it's you don't have the money and the luxury of somebody else's dollars to just go, we'll come back tomorrow and shoot it.
Well, look at all your commercials you've done. It totally prepared you for this quick shoot. Yeah. And my producer, my line producer, John Molina, I've worked with for 12 years. He was absolutely, without him, it couldn't have happened. He made it. He helped pull it together. He's the logistical guy, and he was by my side to help me figure out the problems all the way through the edit. When something wasn't working, he was right there. So nice. John Molina he was crucial to the process. But he's my producer, and he won't work with you if you're listening out there. You're not going to share.
No, I will not share him. No. Find your own producer.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so now tell me, what is Dodge?
What is Dodge?
Dodge Commence to Rock? What is that?
Oh, the Dodge stuff. Yeah, we did last couple of months ago. We did a whole campaign for Dodge with Richie. What's his name from Gas Monkey Garage?
Richie Rollins. Yeah, I know who you're.
Richard Rollins.
Yeah.
Great, really nice guy, good old boy, Texas, former cop, actually. But he has that show, Gas Monkey Garage, and we did this for the Richards Group agency out of Texas, and it was a big Dodge campaign, and pulled it together very quickly. But yeah, that's just, I do all kinds of stuff. It's a great thing about, they sell me as a comedy commercial director, and what's cool about that is it's all inclusive of product. So I could be doing like Dodge one day and Tampax the next.
Wow.
So that's one good thing. Comedy is a popular strategy. More popular than horror. Turns out.
Well, as a commercial director, how much say do you have in the casting of the commercials?
A lot, actually. I get hired largely because people like my casting. So
there you go.
It's actually the one stage of the game that I tried. I like to consider it's not negotiable. You are working for someone else, so you have to listen to other people's opinions in terms of casting, but that's kind of the most important part of every job to me. Because if I cast well, it's just like they say, that's the majority of the job.
Right.
For dialogue stuff especially.
Makes everything easier if you cast well.
Yeah, you look like a genius, and you don't have to do anything. Like, I put Anthony Hopkins in my commercial. Great. Good call.
Now, what about your crew? Do you have say in that, too?
Oh, yeah, the crew, absolutely. The crew is pretty much, nobody has really suggested. The crew is all me and my producer.
That's
great. From the cinematographer down to the PAs.
Now, what about like the ad agency? Because I know when I shoot commercials, it feels like you'll do a take, you get notes from the ad agency, the director, the it's like everybody. It's like it feels like a whole group of people have to approve what you just did or what you're wearing and every little thing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that get monotonous? All these different people making decisions, or do you not really deal with that yourself?
No, I deal directly with every single detail, and I make sure I do. I've been doing this for a while, and I think maybe it's just a function of age, or that I look like I think I intimidate people a little bit, which works in my favor just from the way I look. But my fallback position is you hired me for a reason. Let me fulfill that arrangement. And, I listen to people, but the biggest thing for me is I protect my actors. So whatever the agency input is, I try to filter it, and I try to give it to them in a way that's useful to them. And at a certain point, I go, okay, you know what? I think we've done enough takes. It's time to move on because these are human beings, and they will run out of energy, So that is, maybe it's because I did spend a little time acting myself. The actors are very important to me, and I try to protect them as much as I can, and while still honoring the arrangement I have with the agencies.
Wow. And do you still enjoy doing the commercials, or is it more like, it's just work?
No, it's never like that to me. I love it.
Good.
This is an R-rated show, right? Can I be frank?
Sure.
Directing is like oral sex. Even a bad day directing, I'm still directing. It's like I still got a Hummer. It doesn't matter if it's a little toothy. And that's how I feel. It's so awesome. Even when it's really crappy, it's still so much better than the alternative. Because I could be working in some goddamn office somewhere,
right. Hating every minute of it.
Yeah, just living to pay bills. And every day I walk onto the set is a day for victory.
That's great, Nick. That's great. Really great. And so, okay, let me ask you this. When you were doing The Call of Charlie, was it even more great because it was your baby?
No. It was the most traumatic 2 days of my life.
Oh,
and I
no,
don't
like
remember
total stress? Oh, no.
It was so, look, in the first place, I self-funded because I didn't want to huck my friends on Kickstarter for money. I'm in a business where I have to answer to a lot of people and deal with a lot of people, and I just didn't want to have to answer to anybody. And I didn't want to send out, little gifts to everybody for giving me $10.
Right.
Which, it's a great strategy. It's great for some people. It's not for me. So I had socked away money to do this. I'm like, this is mine. And I got really sick. I was really, really ill during pre-production and when we shot. I had a fever.
Oh, no.
I had a lung infection. It was very bad.
Do you think it was from the stress? Like, were you making yourself ill?
Yeah, definitely. I was terrified. It was terrifying to me. I'd never done anything like this, and I'd like to come off as cool and disconnected and say, yeah, there's no problem. It was awesome, but it was freaking terrifying. And so, I see photos. My producer took a lot of photos on set, and I see myself directing and laughing with the actors and clearly giving them notes and having a good time, but I don't remember hardly any of it.
Oh, my God. Okay, do you think if it hadn't been out of your pocket that stress would be less?
Just maybe 10% less.
So mostly it was all because you knew if this is bad, it's on me.
Well, yeah, there was a lot of buildup. I waited 20 years to do this thing,
Oh, my gosh.
And it was a lot of buildup, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to do it. And here's what it is, Denise. I'm standing there with this mask, and I'm not going to tell you how much it was, but it wasn't cheap. And I'm standing there on day one of the shoot, and we had a pre-light and a set dress day the day before in the Valley, and it's a very nice guy's house. And I was standing there in the morning of, the art director slept through her alarm. A very nice girl who had everything ready to go, but she slept through. And in L.A., you know this, when you sleep through, you're not 10 minutes away. And she had to do pickups for art on that morning, right? So we're looking at 2.5 hours, and we have to be shooting. We cannot deviate from our shooting schedule, or we're boned, right? And they shut you down in L.A. At 10 o'clock, it's a hard out. They shut you down.
Sure.
So, neighborhood associations, not fun. And I had to shoot in L.A. because that's where all the talent was. So, and then electric shows up and I'm like, I forgot the generator. And I'm like, well, dude, that's half of your job. Just showing up with a generator is like 50%. Okay. And I was like, did you think we were going to tie in to the box in the basement? Jesus. So you're standing there with this, $4,000 mask in hands, and you're like, holy shit, let's just cut bait. Let's cut our losses. Let's run now. This was a terrible idea. I don't know what I was thinking. And I was having such a panic attack. And I'm half Jewish, so it doesn't help. I'm like, I'm having such an anxiety attack. I think I'm actually having a major cardiac episode.
Oh,
right
no.
Now. Yes. And I had to work through that. And then be productive for 2 days.
Oh, my gosh.
So take it from me, people. This is what it takes. You have to work through the suck. And this is if I could teach anybody anything, if you're in a band, if you're an artist, if you're a director, you have to work through the suck because it's going to happen. And then hopefully you will suck less and the situation will suck less, and eventually the suck is minimized and you can handle it when it comes. But you got to deal with the suck.
Oh, my gosh, Nick. You are so talented. Are you ever going to make another one? You have to.
Yeah, we're working on it. Actually, we the same. The writers and I, John Simpson and Guy Benoit, awesome writers, amazing dudes. I would not have done this without them. These guys are the best. We're working on our new project, and even our sound designer, Craig Jordan, is involved. We're all here in Providence, and we have, I think we have an awesome idea, and we're working on our screenplay to follow it up.
Wow.
We're already talking to some people about how we're going to make this next project happen, and
good.
Keep an eye out for us because we're coming back. This new
Good.
project is really
because you really had me worried
really
there. I thought, oh my gosh, he's never going to do it again.
Of course I am, because directors are masochists. Of course, are you kidding? What? And sidestep all this glory? Of course I'm going to do it again.
Oh, my gosh. You are too funny. I am loving this whole conversation. You are wonderful. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you so much, Denise.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. Before we run out of time, where can people find you? Do you have websites? Where can they see the movie? Fill us in.
Thank you for asking. We have a Facebook page at The Call of Charlie. There's a website called thecallofcharlie.com. We are on Twitter at Call of Charlie. And let's see, where are we? This weekend I'm going tomorrow night with all the writers down to New York for the New York City Horror Film Festival.
Nice.
We're showing tomorrow night at 10 at a fantastic theater in Chelsea at Cineopolis. Cineopolis? I don't know. But it's right in Chelsea where I used to live. And that's going to be fantastic. That's a great festival, the New York City Horror Film Festival. We're going to be at Killer Valley in Ashland this weekend as well. We're at Buried Alive in Atlanta on the 16th. Let's see. And the other two, a couple of great ones we just got added to, Other Worlds Austin will be in the first week in December. We got picked up by the Paris International Fantastic Film Festival in early December and just got back our French subtitled version, which is bizarre.
Wow.
And the Macabre Fair Film Festival, which shows in Long Island, but is known as Sundance with Fangs, out in Long Island in January. And more to follow because we're only like 4 months into this, and we're going to be going at this festival circuit for another 6 months, 8 months or so.
You guys have so many laurels. It's not even funny. Like you're going to have to make a bigger poster or something.
we started putting them on the back. It's been really cool. I'm blown away by. What's nice is that it's genre festivals have keen to us, but we've been getting into sort of mainstream festivals as well, just as a film. And that makes
great.
me really happy. Yeah. That's been a nice bonus. Yeah.
Wow.
And,
well, yeah.
It was an honor to show it at your festival. It's such a great festival. It's obviously one of the tops in the business. I saw the online poll today. Out of 25 horror film festivals, you're at the top currently.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you.
We were so honored to be included with so many other great directors. And even though I couldn't be there, we're already, it's a great community online. We're all friends. We're all talking back and forth and meeting up at other festivals. And it's one of the best things about this is that, we're all from the same sort of family. And it's not a real, like, we don't look at each other like, oh, he's the competition, she's the competition.
Right.
We're like kind of comrades. And I love that about, from my first spin on the festival circuit, that has been really awesome. That everybody is like, love your film, dude, come and see mine. And it's just been so rewarding. And your festival certainly has that in spades. And thank you so much for all your support. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Nick. It's my honor. And please, anything, like once you guys get this project going, if there's anything you want me to get the word out about, please feel free to tweet to us and we'll spread it out. We have a few followers. And, just keep me posted.
I totally will. Thank you so much, Denise.
Thank you. And enjoy those kids and your wife. And all these wonderful directing jobs you have coming up, and try on this next one to not get so stressed. Don't make yourself ill.
You know what? I'll have someone else pay for it. I think it'll be more fun.
Good. And maybe more than just 2 days.
Yeah, maybe we'll do 7 days.
And maybe not a crazy, awesomely crazy, expensive mask.
Yeah, we'll adjust accordingly. Good advice.
Hey, did you wear it for Halloween?
Yeah. Holy crap! I we live in this old house on College Hill. I'm like, I'm going to be Cthulhu House from now on. I put it on for 5 minutes. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Allison, get this off me. It's like an Iron Maiden. This is the worst thing ever. It's not going to work.
Oh, my gosh, poor Sven.
I tried, poor Sven, that's all I think. I tried putting it on my son for a photo, and he just started to cry. He's like, just stop. Yeah, it's a torch. It's a terrible thing. I don't wish this on anyone.
How the heck did Sven wear it so long?
I have no goddamn idea, because he's got a big skull. I don't know how he did it, but every time I see him, I'm like, I owe you a drink. Let's go.
Right. Drinks for the rest of your life, dude.
Rest of his life.
Well, Nick, we are almost out of time, so thank you for coming on the show. This has been a blast.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you, Nick. And good luck with everything, and keep me posted.
I definitely will. Be well.
Okay, you too. Good night.
Good night.
That was great, guys. So like he was saying and I was saying, there's really no excuses anymore. So get out there, make those films, write those scripts, do a little bit every day, and by the end of the year you'll have something. The time's going by anyway, right? I know I say this a lot, but the time really is going by. I don't know where it's going, but it's going by. So why not do a little bit every day, get you closer to your goals, and man, if you're going to make a short, be as focused as Nick was. To be able to get that thing done in 2 days is phenomenal, especially with all he had going on. So, really plan ahead, know what you're doing. And, okay, maybe you're not doing huge commercials like he's doing, but maybe you can do some smaller ones for local businesses and get your feet wet that way. I mean, there's so many things you can do. You could do something on YouTube, start your channel. There's just so much that there really no excuses are allowed for any of it. So work on those goals, and we'll meet back here next week. All right, guys, have a great evening, and take care of yourselves, and good night.
You're listening to Live Paranormal Radio at liveparanormal.com.
Don't miss this Saturday steal at Old Navy and OldNavy.com. $2 tanks for women and girls tomorrow only. Plus, in-stores only get free solid color flip-flops when you spend $50 or more tomorrow at Old Navy. Valid 3/10, select styles, exclusions apply, limit 5 tanks. Don't miss this Saturday steal at Old Navy and OldNavy.com. $2 tanks for women and girls tomorrow only. Plus, in-stores only get free solid color flip-flops when you spend $50 or more tomorrow at Old Navy. Valid 3/10, select styles, exclusions apply, limit 5 tanks.